besar diawali Bapak Republik.
Halo sir, Desi from Indonesia.
Oh.
Weiter mit Europa.
Great country of ours, Australia.
Change has come to America.
It is a job for life.
Hay una revolución en América Latina.
Pemilu presiden. Perhelatan inilah yang meringankan kaki saya terbang ke Filipina. Suasana pemilu meruap lewat poster, baliho, dan iklan politik yang menghias sekujur kota. Tak berbeda jauh dari pemilu-pemilu sebelumnya. Tahun ini pemilihan umum di Filipina berlangsung rusuh. Persaingan antar pendukung kandidat dan rusaknya mesin penghitung suara menjadi pemicu. Sebanyak 10 orang tewas dan puluhan lainnya luka-luka akibat kontak senjata dan ledakan bom rakitan. Kekacauan ini terjadi di berbagai wilayah di Filipina. Sayang, seharusnya pemilu menjadi wajah demokrasi. Setidaknya inilah yang saya harapkan dari sebuah pesta politik saat saya menjejak Filipina. Hari ini, Filipina berpesta. Pesta demokrasi yang menandai era baru sebuah pemerintahan. Dan dalam pesta inilah, Joseph Estrada, mantan Presiden Filipina ke-13, menjadi salah satu tamu istimewa. Karir politik Estrada kembali diuji. Mantan Presiden Filipina ke-13 ini memiliki saingan kuat, Benigno Noynoy Aquino. Saat ini mantan Presiden Joseph Estrada sedang melakukan pemilihan, sedang melakukan voting, di mana bisa kita lihat di depan saya saat ini beliau sudah mendapatkan kertas ballot untuk memilih. Lucu juga, berbeda sekali dengan pemilu Indonesia yang dilakukan tertutup. Di Filipina saya melihat dengan jelas pilihan Estrada. Ya, saat ini Presiden Estrada sudah mengisi lembar suaranya dan akan memasukkan kertas suaranya ke dalam kotak suara yang sudah tersedia. Ada satu hal yang menarik perhatian saya. Kertas yang digunakan cukup panjang. Berisi tak hanya nama-nama calon presiden, tapi juga anggota Senat, Kongres, Gubernur, dan Mayor. Repot juga ya. Apalagi pada pemilu tahun ini, Filipina menggunakan mesin penghitung otomatis. Caranya mirip seperti ujian nasional di Indonesia. Saking repotnya, sampai ada yang membawa kertas contekan loh. Pada dasarnya tidak semua yang ada di sini adalah pemilih, tapi banyak juga yang datang hanya merupakan penggemar dari Estrada sendiri. Meski pada akhirnya berlangsung rusuh, saya sempat menjumpai orang-orang yang menginginkan agar pemilu tahun ini berjalan damai. Salah satunya di kawasan Intramuros. To support peace for the election. I was thinking it was a campaign. Ini merupakan kawasan Intramuros. Di sini sebenarnya terdapat bangunan-bangunan peninggalan Spanyol yang mana sampai saat ini masih terjaga kekokohan dan keasliannya. Tepat pada saat saya tiba di tempat ini sedang ada upacara bersama oleh masyarakat untuk mendukung pemilu damai. Mereka sedang melakukan doa. Estrada memang populer. Wajar saja, karena sebelum terjun di dunia politik, Estrada mengawali karirnya sebagai bintang film. Pada pemilu tahun 1998, ia mencalonkan diri sebagai presiden. Dengan slogan "Arab for the Poor", ia memenangkan pemilu dengan selisih suara tertinggi sepanjang sejarah pemilu di Filipina.
Kahit na anong gawin niyo sa akin, hindi ako tatakot. Kahit na ikulong niyo ako, hindi ako alis.
Namun sayang, karir cemerlang Estrada ternoda. Kasus korupsi menjegal kekuasaannya. Pada 20 Januari 2001, ia digulingkan oleh kekuatan rakyat yang dipimpin oleh Arroyo yang saat itu menjabat sebagai wakil presiden. Dan kisah hidup Estrada inilah yang menggoda saya untuk datang ke Filipina.
If you produce more food, the food becomes cheaper, right?
Is it because
And then next is peace and order, and third is go after graft and corruption. Simple.
Rasa penasaran saya terhadap sosok Joseph Estrada jadi magnet buat menjejak Filipina. Saya tiba tepat menjelang pemilihan umum, sehingga saya bisa mengintip proses kampanye sejumlah kandidat. Tapi ada yang menarik perhatian saya dalam pemilu di Filipina, yaitu politik keluarga. Nama keluarga sepertinya menjadi jualan paling laku.
Maybe I should tell my version of some of the untold stories, especially with regard to the military.
Seperti Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, keberhasilannya duduk di kursi presiden tak lepas dari nama besar ayahnya, mantan presiden ke-9, Diosdado Macapagal.
Larry Mendoza and Colonel C.P. Garcia and retired General Rio.
Nama keluarga lain yang ikut maju dalam pemilu tahun ini adalah Aquino. Benigno Noynoy Aquino, yang sukses terpilih sebagai presiden ke-15, merupakan putra pasangan mantan Presiden Corazon Aquino dan Senator Ninoy Aquino. Contoh lain, The Marcoses atau keluarga mantan Presiden Marcos. Imelda Marcos, yang juga mantan wanita nomor 1, tahun ini terpilih sebagai anggota Kongres. Putranya Ferdinand Marcos Jr. terpilih sebagai senator. Sementara putrinya yaitu Aimee Marcos jadi gubernur Ilocos Norte. Namun di antara semuanya ada pasangan politisi ayah anak yang menarik perhatian saya. Ya, Joseph Estrada dan putranya, Jinggoy Estrada. Joseph Estrada kembali mencalonkan diri sebagai presiden. Sementara putranya Jinggoy Estrada mencalonkan diri sebagai senator.
Itong pagkakataon ito, papasalamatan kayo lahat. Quezon City, 2004, number 11 lang ho ako rito.
Pada pemilu kali ini, Estrada mencalonkan diri sebagai presiden didampingi oleh Hehomar Binay, yang sebelumnya menjabat sebagai mayor di Makati. Dalam kampanye inilah, untuk pertama kalinya saya melihat Estrada secara langsung. Dengan sabar, saya berusaha mencari celah untuk mendekati Estrada. Semakin malam, kampanye yang dimulai sejak sore ini semakin ramai. Ribuan rakyat memadati lapangan di Quezon City. Sepertinya saya belum bisa mendekati Estrada. Saya akan mencoba lagi besok.
iba. Kundi ang susunod na Vice Mayor ng Parañaque ay Makati pala. Ang susunod na Vice Mayor ng Makati.
Malam ini saya berniat mencoba lagi. Ternyata Estrada datang pukul 9 malam waktu Manila.
Mayor Junjun Binay.
Wow, pendukung Estrada luar biasa banyak malam ini. Saya pun mendekat, tapi penjagaannya ketat. Setibanya di podium, Estrada sempat menjumpai wartawan-wartawan lokal. Saya pun memutuskan bergabung dengan mereka. Namun, perbedaan bahasa membuat saya tidak bisa memahami hal yang dibicarakan.
5% na lang ang lamang sa 5% na lang ang lamang sa akin.
Kailan po yan?
Karenanya, saya pun memutuskan mengajukan pertanyaan sendiri setelah Estrada menjawab pertanyaan rekan-rekan dari media lokal.
Sir, I'm Desi from Indonesia.
Ya, siguro tatakot sila.
If you become a president, what the first thing you would like to fix from Philippines?
Pardon?
If you become a president, what the first thing you would like to fix from Philippines?
To teach?
To fix. To fix.
Well, my program government is priority is the food security. Food security. Because hungry stomach knows no law.
Why do you concern a lot in security and poverty?
Yes.
Why?
When you solve the food, you minimize poverty. Because if you produce more food, the food becomes cheaper, right?
Is it because
And then next is peace and order, and third is go after graft and corruption. Simple.
when you are a child, have you ever dreaming to be a president?
Well, I have that inkling. I have that because I'm fond of reading leaders of great. I'm fond of reading books of great leaders.
So who inspiring you?
Well, one of them is Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
How come? Can you tell us a little
Well,
bit?
he came from a very poor beginning, and his heart is for the poor. And he was able to remove the racial discrimination.
That's what you want to be. That's what you want to be too.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I want to unite our country.
Okay, thank you, Alonso.
Baru saja kandidat Presiden Joseph Estrada melakukan kongres dan saya sempat bertanya sedikit tentang rencana beliau ke depannya. Sayang, pada malam itu saya belum dapat mewawancara Estrada secara khusus. Karena Estrada harus berorasi di depan pendukung.
Kita natin sila!
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat.
Saya pun memutuskan untuk menunggu kampanye selesai.
Ginawa niyo kami sikat na artista, ginawa niyo pa kami superstar, ginawa niyo pa kami producer. Ating Presidente, Joseph Era Estrada. Volkswagen po, Pwersa ng Masa, Team Binay, magkali po sa Lunes, hindi po makakalimutan, ang buong ticket.
Tengah malam, kampanye pun usai. Saya berdiri di tepi panggung dengan harapan bisa menyalami Estrada sebelum dia meninggalkan lokasi kampanye. Dan akhirnya saat itu pun tiba.
Halo sir, Desi from Indonesia.
Oh,
Yeah, Indonesia TV station. Want to make your profile?
Setelah pertemuan inilah, saya kemudian berhasil mengatur jadwal untuk bisa bertemu dengan Estrada keesokan harinya.
I'm from Indonesia, Mr. President.
hello.
Desi.
Indians.
Yeah, Indian. How are you?
Fine, fine.
Great honor to meet you here.
Tepatnya 2 hari jelang pemilu, saya pun akhirnya mendapat kesempatan berbicara langsung dengan Estrada di kediamannya di kawasan Green Hills. Meski sudah ada janji, saya tetap harus menunggu di depan kediaman Estrada. Sekitar 3 jam kemudian barulah saya bisa menjumpai Estrada.
Mr. President, King Ipo and Desi are from Indonesia.
Sosok Estrada memang sangat menarik. Pasca digulingkan dari kursi kepresidenan, ia kemudian divonis penjara seumur hidup atau minimal 40 tahun atas tuduhan korupsi. Namun kemudian dibebaskan pada 25 Oktober 2007. Setelah Presiden Arroyo memberikan gerasi. Dan kini, Estrada dengan berani maju kembali dalam bursa pemilihan presiden 2010.
I'm from Indonesia, Mr. President. Desi. Yeah, Indian. How are you?
Fine, fine.
For me, it's a great honor to meet you.
Share with me.
Oh, but I was wondering, why do you look so young? Still the same like 10 years ago?
Yeah, because 6 years and a half, I was doing nothing. Because I was incarcerated for 6 years and a half. For 6 years and a half, I was not doing anything. It's a long vacation because I was incarcerated. I was behind bars, doing nothing, so.
May I know, in your relation, maybe you have visited Indonesia too? When?
Yeah, in Jakarta.
Oh yeah.
There was a film festival, Asian Film Festival.
Asian Film Festival.
Yeah, I was the chief delegate of our Philippine Motion Pictures Producers Association. Because I was also producing a movie then.
Okay, then you become a producer, and you become a producer too.
Yes.
Oh, what do you think about Jakarta?
Well, it's, at that time I was surprised that Jakarta was very fast.
Oh yeah. Comparing to Manila? Maybe?
Yeah. Well, you know, the Philippines, in the early 50s, you weren't born yet. We were number 2 to Japan in terms of economic growth. We're richer than Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia. Then we deteriorated. Because of we have these rebels, the communist rebels, for more than 50 years, and up to now, the insurgency. And then we have this secessionist movement in the south, in Mindanao, for more than 30 years. They're still there. So when in my short-lived presidency, I tried to wipe them out. And I was successful. Yes. But when I stepped down as president, they all...
Yes, I read in 2000, right? You declare all-out war to MILF.
Yes, right. I wiped them all the 46 camps. We overran the 46 camps.
If this year you becoming a president again, do you will declare the same to another rebellion?
Well, first, as president, I have to see to it that our laws are imposed strictly in our own land.
Yung milyong-milyong masang Pilipino na bumoto sa akin, nagtiwala sa akin, hindi ko maaaring talikuran, hindi ko maaaring iwan.
Second, if ever I become president again, I will renegotiate again with them. But I will negotiate with them in the position of strength as the government. And there will be a time frame. I cannot wait for another 10 years. No way. I give them a time frame. We'll renegotiate. Then if they don't agree, that's it.
Why do you think another president before you or after you never handle these things?
That's what I do not know. Maybe they're not, they don't have that political will.
If you...
Because the end game of this secessionist movement, by the word secessionist, they want to secede from our country. And so that is what we call dismemberment of our country. And I will never permit that as president and commander-in-chief. It is my duty to protect the territorial integrity of our country at all costs. I will never allow the dismemberment of our country. My mother called me as the black sheep.
What is that?
Black
sheep?
Among the 10, according to her, I'm the most mischievous child.
Can you tell us about your humble beginnings?
My humble beginning. Well, we are 10 brothers and sisters. My father's an engineer. My mother's graduate of the Conservatory of Music and Culinary Arts. And all my brothers and sisters are all professionals. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, commerce, education, pharmacies. Except me. I'm a college dropout.
Oh, yeah?
I dropped out when I was third year, second semester engineering. Because the movies discovered me.
Oh, okay.
So I joined the movies.
But is it being an actor or being a president was your childhood dreaming?
Well, in a way, yes, because at that time I wanted to be a lawyer. But because I have two elder brothers who took up law, so I wasn't allowed to take up law. I was forced to take up engineering, although I'm very poor in math. That's why in my third year I dropped out, and fortunately the movies discovered me. And it's, the rest is destiny.
Oh, okay. But have you ever dreamed that someday, one day you will be a president?
Well, I have that political inkling ever since. That is why, even when I became a superstar, I entered politics. I ran for mayor of this town, and I won.
Yes.
So I have already that political instinct in me ever since.
Yes.
Because among the 10 brothers and sisters, I am the only one who goes around, and my mother called me as the black sheep.
What is that?
Black
sheep?
Among the 10, according to her, I'm the most mischievous child.
Why is that? Because you're different?
Because I go around with friends, with the so-called the lesser, we call it here Kanto boys. How do you call that? The people in the street. We are fond of this going around with gangmates. We commit childhood crimes. Yeah.
Okay.
Involved in, as I grow older, we get involved in some street brawls, street fights.
Okay.
That's how I grew up. And then I became closer to the marginalized people. When my mother was so strict, if the allowance of my younger brother is, let's say, at the time, 1 peso, she only gives me 50% of that, 50 centavos. That's as a punishment. So when I reached college, I applied for a job. So among the 10 brothers and sisters, I'm the only working student. So I worked, so I got in touch with the lower people in society. I became a timekeeper, an ambulance driver, mimeographer. So I got mixed up with these people. And then, well, destiny. I became a movie actor, and most of my roles, I would say more than 90% of my roles are portraying the role of the marginalized people. The role of a taxi driver, carpenter, a laborer, labor leader.
Is it the reason that you...
That's why I develop endearment with the poor people.
May I know who is your inspiration?
Pardon?
Your inspirational person.
Inspirational
yes.
person?
Yes.
I have so many inspiration in different stages of my life.
Which one is the most that makes you as great as now?
Oh, God. You know, I'm a different kind of, although I'm a Catholic, but, you know, when I pray, I don't like anybody watching me. I pray alone. I want to be alone when I pray to God, because there's solemnity and I can pray more with all the concentration.
Okay. Mr. President, I would like to ask you to give a golden words to our audience. Do you mind?
Well, I would say that what's in me is that it's in the Bible. What you give to the least of my brethren, you've done it unto me. So I tend to help people without asking anything in return.
Saya senang karena perjalanan saya tak sia-sia. Akhirnya saya berhasil mewawancarai tokoh dunia sekelas Joseph Estrada. Namun nasib Estrada saat ini tak sebaik dulu. Rakyat Filipina kini tak lagi menginginkannya memimpin negara ini. Ia kalah dalam pemilu 2010 oleh Noy Noy. Kekalahannya bisa jadi karena rakyat Filipina masih ingat bagaimana korupsi membelit pemerintahannya dan membuatnya terjungkal. Selain Estrada, masih ada lagi seseorang di Filipina yang ingin saya wawancarai. Sambil menanti kabar darinya, saya memutuskan untuk mengikuti tur bersejarah di kawasan Intramuros. Carlos Celdran, seorang pemandu wisata lokal, menjelaskan ke saya esensi sejarah di Intramuros.
Hi.
I'm Desi.
Nice to meet you, Desi.
Nice to meet you. I would like to ask you, seems like you know all the history in Intramuros. Do you say about the St. Augustine Church? Can you tell us about it?
The St. Augustine Church is pretty much the only surviving church of a moment called World War II. Because a lot of people don't know that back in 1945, the city of Manila was the second most destroyed city in the world after Warsaw on the Allied side, between fighting of the Americans and the Japanese. Practically everything that we knew of old, beautiful Manila was destroyed. Americans did the bombing, a lot of the Japanese forces did the burning and the pillaging. It was kind of a joint effort in the destruction of Intramuros. But you know, that's how war goes.
Okay, so that's the only building left.
Only thing left that is actually from old Manila. Everything that you see in Intramuros was reconstructed after the war by former First Lady Imelda Marcos.
You said Old Manila.
Yes.
Old Manila means it's during the Spanish time?
From the Spanish time or even before the coming of the Spanish time. Manila, what we know of Intramuros is that is really where all of the city of Manila began. Before the coming of the Spanish, the city of Manila was an Islamic village run by a man named Raja Sulaiman. So Manila was actually Muslim, like all of Southeast Asia. And then the Americans came, and then the Spanish came. The Spanish came in the 16th century and then imposed Catholicism. So that's why we're the only ones who are Catholic in the region that we're in.
When did the first Spanish came to?
They first came to the Philippines in 1521 from Cebu, but in Manila, they arrived here in 1571.
Then the USA came?
And the United States came in the year 1898 after the signing of the Treaty of Paris, which would end the Spanish-American War in Cuba. The Philippines, as part of the package, was given to the United States for $20 million.
Does the Spanish just left, or the USA kicked them out?
They kicked them out. There's through the signing of the treaty, the Spanish had to leave because now the Philippines was handed over to the United States.
So what about the USA? They just left, or?
The United States left the Philippines in 1946, symbolically, right after, because we've always wanted independence. So after World War II and all of the bombing, by 1946, the United States granted the Philippines its own independence.
Thank you so much for...
Rupanya tak seperti di Indonesia, yang berhasil meraih kemerdekaan sendiri. Filipina mendapatkan kemerdekaannya karena pemberian Amerika. Usai mengunjungi Intramuros, saya juga mengunjungi lokasi wisata sejarah lainnya, Taman Jose Rizal. Namun sayang, ternyata tak mudah mengambil gambar di lokasi ini. Petugas pun langsung menghampiri saya.
Ini merupakan lokasi di mana Jose Rizal dieksekusi pada 30 Desember 1896, tepatnya pada pukul 7. Dia dieksekusi setelah menerbitkan 2 buku tentang pemerintahan.
Memulai karirnya sebagai seorang dokter, Jose Rizal kemudian dieksekusi mati pasca menulis buku No Limitangere dan El Filibusterismo.
From Intramuros, did you heard Intramuros? You ever been there?
Yes.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Okay, from that place they take a walk early morning of December 30. From that place coming to here to this place just for his execution. Have you noticed that the statue over there?
No.
The Spanish medical doctor trying to take his pulse, and he was surprised why Jose Rizal's pulse or heartbeat is normal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then according to Jose Rizal, I'm not afraid to die. Because I never did any mistake to your government. Only your government accusing me falsely. Because of their books I wrote, and one thing, when he joined in Freemason. He is a military captain, and Jose Rizal asked favor from him. I would like to face the bullet and my death. Then he refused. He never granted Jose Rizal's request. No, Dr. Jose Rizal, my government advised me that you will shoot on your back. Jose Rizal was surprised. Okay, you can shoot me on my back, but don't shoot me on my head.
Puas berwisata sejarah, saya pun kembali mencoba menghubungi sosok berikutnya yang ingin saya wawancarai. Dan ternyata...
Cause there's something in the way you look at me. It's as if my heart knows you're the missing piece. You make me believe that there's nothing in this world I can be. I never know what you see, but there's something in the way you look at me.
Selain menjumpai Estrada yang juga mantan selebriti, saya juga menjumpai bintang Filipina lainnya. Pria tampan bersuara emas, Christian Bautista. Saya menjumpainya di sela-sela kesibukannya untuk sebuah pertunjukan di sebuah stasiun TV lokal di Filipina.
Oh yeah, he is old. Oh wow, kerupuk. Okay, you have kerupuk in?
Yes.
Oh, kerupuk. You can speak bahasa?
I'm still learning, so I just learned sedikit.
Sedikit.
Bisa bicara bahasa.
Bisa bicara. Terima kasih.
Yeah, sometimes I say enggak ngerti, right? And
enggak ngerti.
They speak to me in bahasa more. the Indonesian who married a Filipina.
Indonesian married Filipino?
The author is Indonesian.
Oh yeah?
He stays here
Uh-huh.
in tutor.
Oh.
Gonna start next week. Yeah, it's kind of crazy here. All the artists of this station are here in this show.
But the only I know just you.
Saya tak menduga, Christian ternyata sangat ramah. Namun sayang, pembicaraan kami harus berhenti dulu karena dia akan tampil di atas panggung.
You're still watching Asa XB! I just want to say hi to all my Indonesian friends from TV1 na nandirito. Hello guys! Terima kasih, selamat datang to Asa XB.
Hati saya berdebar mendengar ia bernyanyi dan tak sabar melanjutkan pembicaraan kami. Meski terlihat letih, Christian masih bersedia meladeni saya.
Your obsession to be an artist? Since you were a child, is it your obsession to be an artist?
No, this was by accident. No, really.
How is
I
that?
just knew that I liked singing, but I did not plan to be an artist. It just so happened that there was a singing contest, and I tried, and then everything else just went smoothly.
And what do you think about Indonesia?
Well, Indonesia, I'm in love with it so much that I'm there almost every other month. I love the people, I love the food, I love the place. And I have this connection already with Indonesia. That's why I love you guys.
Which place do you love most?
Bali, I guess. Bali and Jakarta.
Okay, Bali and Jakarta. Have you tried another island?
I've been to Manado, I've been to Cirebon, I've been to Makassar, but Bali still has a lot of good places for me.
So, who inspiring you actually?
Well, a lot of things. My fans inspire me, my family inspires me, and of course, music inspires me a lot.
By the way, why this interview looks so strict?
Because we're in our own room and everything's just finished. Everything was so crazy a while ago, so now we just have to normalize. Alright. If you want to go crazy again, we can go outside.
Okay.
With all the fans.
Can you tell us about your unforgettable moment?
I guess my unforgettable moment would be my first time in Indonesia, where I sang The Way You Look at Me, and they were singing along with me, because that was a surprise. I did not know that a lot of people loved the song already.
So I think I would like to ask you to sing that song for us.
'Cause there's something in the way you look at me, it's as if my heart knows you're the missing piece. You make me believe that there's nothing in this world I can't be. I never know what you see, but there's something in the way you look at me. Thank you.
I think I'm just in love too with him. Okay, thank you a lot, Christian.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you,
Okay,
thank you, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Suara indah Bautista menjadi penutup yang manis dalam perjalanan saya ke Filipina kali ini. Ya, dunia politik dan panggung selebritis terkadang menjadi ramuan pas buat menjadi pejabat. Setidaknya inilah yang